Hey, happy Monday. Hey, I'm really happy to be here with you guys. It was a great weekend for me. I hope it was a great weekend for you. I sorry if you see a little bit of peeling here. I had a good weekend at the beach, so I hope you guys had a great weekend too. But it's amazing to be here on Monday. And like I say on a lot of my lives is that there's so many people that they start the week kind of thinking, oh man, it's a Monday. What am I gonna do? I gotta go back to work or I gotta do this. Instead of thinking it's a Monday, it's a fresh start, right? So that's how I like to think of my Mondays. I like to think of my Mondays as a fresh start, something to really hit the ground running, and to and the thing is, when you start your Monday strong, then it sets the tone for the week. So don't I would just encourage you, don't get in the trap of those Monday morning blues, right? Get in the mindset of this is a new beginning. This is it's a week, but it's a new beginning. It's a new beginning of a new week. And if you set the tone for Monday, then the rest of your week is going to go great, right? So I want to talk about this week about resilience. And here's the thing. Resilience, typically when people think of resilience, they think of, it's not that you don't get knocked down, right? It's the ability to get back up after you've got knocked down, right? But I think it's even deeper than that. I think that when you embrace resilience and you really lean into this process of success, the process of life, right? Because we're all going to get knocked down at times, right? There's always going to be something that pulls us down, but can we get back up? And resilience is actually a beautiful thing because it reveals our true character. It reveals kind of who we are. I looked up the quote and I couldn't find who it's technically supposed to be for. So I hope I'm not copyright infringing or anything, but I found like 20 different quotes that were similar. But the quote that I really wanted to share was that character is what we do when no one's watching, right? I have a coach that says that games aren't won during the game, right? The you don't win the game during the actual event. Games are won during practice. Games are won when no one's watching, right? So when it comes to resilience, I think that resilience really shows our character, really shows who we are and shows what is important to us. So it really has to do with that persistence, that ability to just get up over and over and over again. And here's the thing. It also has, I think, the true core of resilience. I think the true meaning and the true spirit of resilience really comes down to when after the fact, right? After the setback, after the bankruptcy, after the loss, after the heartache, whatever it is. And the novelty's over. Everyone's gone back to their life, right? If it was a big event, maybe you had a whole bunch of people, helping you. And that's amazing. That's one of the amazing things about the human spirit is that when we see someone in need, we're compelled to help. But resilience comes in when, like I said, the novelty's over, the 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 interesting part, and I know that sounds so morbid, but humans we're so fascinated by the out of the ordinary, right? So when something crazy happens or someone really gets a setback, then we all kind of crowd around to see what's going on, right? But the resilience, I'm getting to the point, I promise. The resilience comes when all that's over, when the novelty's worn off, when everyone's gone back to their normal life, and you're left picking up the pieces, picking up those broken pieces of, like I said, of the loss or the heartache or the divorce or the bankruptcy or whatever the case is, That's when the true resilience comes into play. But here's the crazy thing. I know that's the hard part. I know that's the part where it's the most difficult and the most challenging to get through, but that's actually where the beauty and the magic really is. Because then that's where the rebuilding starts. That's where you actually start to build character. That's where you actually can start to see things from a different perspective. It's almost like, it's like, again, like I said, it's going to sound almost morbid, but when you're up here, you see things from a certain perspective, right? But when you get knocked down, you're able to see it from a different perspective. You're able to see it from a different angle. And sometimes that angle and that perspective is everything. Sometimes that angle and that perspective can be life-changing. Sometimes it can show you things that you had never seen before. It can show you paths that are now available to you that maybe you didn't know. John C. Maxwell says that experience, we've all heard that old phrase that experience is the best teacher, right? But he says that experience is not the best teacher. Experience with reflection is the best teacher. Because if we don't reflect, if we don't actually go back and look at what we've learned, if we don't actually go back and analyze what's happened, then we're bound to make the same setbacks over and over, right? So we need to learn from those setbacks. We have to be able to see that unique perspectives and put that into our lives and use that as a catalyst to push us forward. So, we've all heard that phrase, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, right? So if we don't learn from those mistakes, if we don't learn from the setbacks, and here's the thing, sometimes it's not a mistake. Sometimes it's something that just happens to you. Life happens. Sometimes there's things that are out of our control that we can't do anything about, and that's just all there is to it. But, my dad used to say, it's not what happens that matters. It's how you deal with it. So how do you move forward? Do you learn from that experience? Do you put that into your toolbox to use that to move forward, to build more resilience, to build more strength and power to move forward? So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, right? I would think that if there's an exact opposite to insanity, you would think it's sanity, right? I think the exact opposite of insanity is resilience, because you're getting up, you're adjusting your approach, and you're hitting it again, and you're going again, and you're going again. And you build strength and you build character from that resilience. So when you're down there, how do you get back up? How do you get in that mindset of I can learn something from this and it will make me stronger? Well, Tony Robbins teaches the 3 Ps, right? There's 3 Ps that will help you, or that will keep you down and will keep you from getting back up. And if you have all 3 of these, then it's very difficult to move forward. And it's very difficult to have that resilience and to pick yourself back up. So the 3 Ps are permanence. So a lot of times when we get knocked down, when something happens, when something pushes us down, we think this is permanent. And sometimes it's not conscious. Sometimes it's something we just think in our subconscious. This is permanent. It's going to last forever. But nothing is permanent, right? Only your soul is permanent. So nothing is permanent. All things have their time. All things will come and go. So nothing is permanent. So remember that when you're going through the midst of something, when you're in the middle of a struggle right now, remember that nothing is permanent. The second thing is pervasive. So pervasive just means that we think that since one part of our life is going wrong, since we went bankrupt, then everything else in our life is bad and wrong, right? So we think that since we went bankrupt, for example, let's say that since you went bankrupt, then all of your relationships are bad and your health is bad and everything is bad. one setback doesn't mean that your whole life is now is crumbling around you. So pervasive one, just because you're going through one thing doesn't mean everything is bad. And the third thing is personal. So a lot of times, like I said already, sometimes things just happen to us. Sometimes life happens and we have to learn to be able to kind of roll with the punches. We have to learn how to be resilient and get back up, right? So don't take things personal, because when you take it personal, then it becomes an attack and it makes it very difficult to move forward. Instead of saying, this happened, it is what it is, let's move forward, right? So I don't know, I think I've shared this before, but my 8-year-old son went through cancer, and it was crazy because every one of us in our family went through something different. We all learned resilience through this setback, through this illness. And obviously my son, the one that got sick, he had to learn resilience by, getting sick and bouncing back, right? He learned from that. My wife learned resilience by being able to step back and realize, because at some point she got so afraid that she thought that every symptom from all the kids meant that there was, it was something really bad. And I don't blame her. That was not something that we were expecting was going to happen. But she learned that not every symptom means cancer, right? Not everything is bad. And she was able to learn resilience. And she actually poured into herself into resources and serving and being able to find out what we needed to get healthier so that this didn't happen again. The cancer people will say that it's totally random, and I definitely don't agree with that, but I won't go down that path, but right on this video. But anyhow, she poured herself into figuring out how to make us healthier and how to keep this from happening again or to any of the rest of us. My older son, he went through some struggles because, there was times when he felt kind of jealous and resentful because his younger brother was getting all the attention, but he was able to grow by serving his family and by serving his brother. And he was able to grow from that as well. My younger daughter, she was just scared. She just didn't know what was going to happen, but she learned, again, through service. She learned by helping her brother. She learned by helping the family that in order to get stronger, you have to learn how to serve others. You have to learn how to pick yourself back up and move forward. So our whole family, and then we have the little one, but I don't think he remembers much of it. But we all learned as a family that resilience is key and that you have to be able to learn the lessons from the situation you're in to be able to move forward effectively. So, I've been thinking this week about, resilience and what that means on an everyday basis. And I got another chance to learn resilience. Just this last week, I got a flat tire. And so I took it to the tire place, and they said, oh, well, both of your tires are bald, so you need to replace both of them. I had no idea. I knew they were getting low, but I had no idea they were that bad. I know, bad me. But anyway, so that was another setback. But here's the thing. By that point, I had learned resilience. I had learned to be able to bounce back, that it didn't bother me as much. I mean, there was a time not that long ago that that would have really, really bothered me, and I would have thought about it for days. I know that's kind of pathetic, but it would have really, really bugged me. So I just want to encourage you that when you deal with these situations, when you're in a situation where you have to pick yourself back up, remember, it's not permanent, it's not pervasive, and it's not personal. Sometimes things just happen, whether it's a flat tire or a health scare or bankruptcy or financial problems or relationship problems, whatever it is, embrace resilience in order to move forward and to grow. Because the only true way to fail is to either not learn from it, or is to either give up, or is to never try for it to begin with, right? So decide today to rise, reflect, and really learn from every challenge, because in the end, what really matters is our character. It doesn't matter how much money we make. It doesn't matter, what we really, the stuff that we have. What matters is who we become. Tony Robbins again says that what you have will never make you happy, but who you become will either make you very happy or very sad. So make the choice today to get back up, to reflect and to learn from your setbacks, to show the world what you're really made of, because your next level, your opening is on the other side. I know it's hard right now, and I know it's really difficult to see the silver lining when you're in the middle of it, but I promise you that there is light on the other side. You have a breakthrough coming. And if you make the choice to learn from the situation, there's all kinds of possibilities that will open up for you. So make the choice today, get back up, learn resilience, learn from what's happened to you. Again, life isn't fair, right? Sometimes it just knocks us down, but the only way to really move forward is to learn how to get back up. And hey, if you're a real estate professional and you're feeling stuck, maybe you're overwhelmed or maybe you're burnt out, click the link in my bio and schedule a discovery session with me. Now let's turn around and build resilience out of that setback, and how to really use that to put the wind in your sails to drive you toward that amazing future and the professional and the person that you were really always meant to be. Thanks for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks everyone that was here. And if you have any stories or challenges that you would like to share in the comments, I would love to hear about them. Remember, setbacks are not permanent. Find your beauty and resilience in pushing forward. And now it's time to get back up. See you soon. Bye.